I think my answer to that question is going to be my answer to a lot of questions in the e-commerce space, which is ask a lot of questions. Ask questions of people who know things you don't know. In particular, and again, I am a lawyer, so this tends to be my answer, consider all eventualities, right? Ask questions so that you can get the broadest possible understanding of what the implications will be of each step that you're taking. Particularly in the Caribbean, where scaling can mean that you are entering new markets regionally. There is sometimes an assumption that everywhere in the Caribbean kind of operates the same. Certainly, from a regulatory standpoint, that is not the case. Even though there will be cultural similarities across the markets that may make expansion and scaling from market to market appealing, it does not mean that the same ease of business in one place from a regulatory standpoint exists in another. And even where, for example, if you're providing, let's say, some sort of fintech product or service, and you say, oh, well, let me start in the Eastern Caribbean, which is where there's a joint central bank, etc. Nonetheless, you're seeing disparities in securities legislation and in other regulatory frameworks that are going to affect your ability to do business in those spaces. It's also going to affect your costs. And again, compliance can be a really, really significant cost if, again, you don't upfront it, right? The best way to keep your compliance costs down are to anticipate what the needs are and not have to try to play catch up or, God forbid, have to incur any penalties or fines as a result of non-compliance. So in spaces like fintech and other highly regulated spaces, that's one consideration. But then generally speaking, from market to market, just assessing the willingness to pay, right? So as Zachary mentioned before, there's no e-commerce without an end user that wants to pay for it. So what people are willing to pay for in one place, they may not be as willing to pay for at that price point or marketed in the same way in another location. So the Caribbean is a very, very diverse region. And how you go to market on each island and in each space is going to have to vary. So ask a lot of questions, explore your markets very, very thoroughly, and anticipate eventualities instead of having to try to play catch up later down the line.
It's such an important discussion now where we are, a lot of things are online. That's how we spend most of our time. And I want to definitely shout out to those who are joining us online now, to the Bajan Massive, already from a coupon fine fish, as well as I've seen someone from Dubai, I'm seeing Haiti, and of course Trinidad and Tobago, which, by the way, I was at the ATM yesterday. And someone was in front of me and she's like, what happened to the envelopes? Because she's trying to deposit her money. And I said, you no longer need it. You just put the money in and the ATM automatically counts it. She's like, but do I have to put it in one by one? And I said, no, you just put everything and it will tell you how much is in there. And I found that interaction quite interesting because a lot of the times we're afraid of things we don't understand. So I want to put a question out here for the panel. What the heck is a digital? Like, how does it work? How does this digital wallet work? Just for the us layman people who don't understand all these fintech fancy terminologies, could you break it down for us? What is it?
So when we speak of digital wallet, typically we're speaking of a mobile app that customers could download. And then the idea is that you keep the all digital experience. And what that means is you won't need to leave your house or deal with any physical documents to be able to use the digital wallet. So the way that it typically works, and the three of us fintechs have mirrored the same approach with slight differences where onboarding occurs. So I would download the app as a consumer. I would then go through an onboarding process, which is all digital. It's designed in that way, where I am able to verify my identification. And that's typically done through a live video selfie. So customers would, record a video selfie of their face and then scan both ID documents. And depends on the jurisdiction, there might be even more technical capabilities like in Jamaica where they allow you to verify the ID directly with the government's database. So that's definitely a plus for automating the onboarding experience. So once the consumer gets onboarded and they've submitted their verification of the ID, we would then compare the face to the front of the ID, the image, to ensure that that person is actually the person, behind the phone. They're the individual that is on the ID. They're above 18 years old, and we do all of our AML and PEP screening on the spot. And once they've been verified, they're able to do essentially two things: store money and spend money. Funding their account using various means actually. And I come back to the completion of the ecosystem as a main importance for us fintechs. We need to be able to allow our customers to actually make use of the wallet. And when we speak of funding, we're speaking about cash. We're not only speaking about cash, we're also speaking about other people with bank accounts, credit unions, debit cards, and now we're also including remittance. So, we're happy to finalize both for MoneyGram and Western Union integration that allows people to receive their transfers directly to their penny pinch app without, visiting a branch or going on a lineup. So, these are the ways that we make use of the wallet. So funding the account with various means, and also spending on the account. So you could do things like top up your digital and flow phones, pay all your bills in one place, pay a business, send money to a friend. And these are the typical features that all fintechs follow. These are the core features, core functionalities of a digital wallet.
All right, so we're talking about omni-channel payments across the Caribbean, and this question's for John because I feel like we're getting very technical. So I want to take a little bit of a step back because payments, when it comes to money, this in the Caribbean, we want to physically see it, But in the context of an omni-channel, can we talk about it more simplistically, like maybe marketing? So in terms of a customer service, traditionally you pick up the phone and yellow pages is the answer, but now we're like on multiple platforms, we're connected via WhatsApp. So what is it in layman terms you would think in terms of communication is omni-channel for the Caribbean?
The whole idea about omni-channel is when you look at the Caribbean, right, as a market, and we are very closely related, what I would say in terms of particularly our behaviors when it comes to doing transactions and our relationship with cash, right? So cash is still very much king in the Caribbean, right? Recently, I saw a study where, and I'll talk a little bit about some early insights in our own study. 2 out of 5 people in the Caribbean what we will call financially excluded, whether that is the system pushing them out in terms of the requirements and to open a bank account, or simply people leaving the formal economy in terms of not wanting to pay the high fees, not understanding the products and services, not having the transparency or the trust in the system, and choosing to transact in cash, right? And that's a huge number, but also a huge opportunity, right? Not just for businesses to understand, but also in terms of the providers, the FACs, the fintechs, that are really what I would say serving a need in the market, because one of the main reasons why people use cash is friction, right? And I don't think we are there just yet in terms of having the products in the Caribbean to reduce that friction. And because one of the main reasons, and we just recently concluded a nationwide study in Trinidad and Tobago in terms of understanding what really is our challenge. What are the barriers and challenges in terms of reducing the amount of persons using cash? And when we look at some of these statistics, it was very, very surprising. I don't think it's different for the rest of the Caribbean, right? Where we saw 12% of our population were using the debit cards, and we have over 1 million debit cards issued in Trinidad and Tobago. Credentials. What I would say is in Trinidad and Tobago, 2% of persons using their credit cards. But then we saw somewhere upwards of 70% of people still choosing to transact in cash. And these were everyday transactions, right? Going to the grocery, paying rent, paying medical fees, buying mobile top-ups. So these were what you would call your everyday types of transactions, right? So when we start to talk about omni-channel and it being, a sort of optionality, it actually is from the marketing side. It's supposed to be a sort of core value proposition, right? Because when I just gave you that statistic, so, we do have what I would say limited businesses that are operating who only operate in what I would call doing simply card transactions without a cash option, right? Because there's the statistics I just gave there. If you are not prepared to accept cash, you're leaving out a huge percentage of the market, right? And one of the biggest challenges we're seeing is, public education and awareness in terms of how to use these products online, and then the simplification, right? Because to be quite honest, when you look at some of the, what I would say the user experience for most, what I would call domestic e-commerce systems, still have a lot to be desired in terms of the user experience, right? There's a reason why Amazon has so much uptake, right? Because you can literally mistakenly order something on Amazon within 2 clicks, right? So I think that also plays a sort of large role from some of the insights that we are seeing. There's still too much friction. Cash obviously is, from a fees perspective, there is none, at least for the customer. On the merchant side, it's a different story. But then also the education and awareness, right? In terms of why should I be using my card, and all these different aspects. So I think the omni-channel conversation is very relevant in today's world.
(2023), a year of groundbreaking advancements, and First Atlantic Commerce was at the forefront of it all. From revolutionizing payment solutions to ensuring seamless transactions in Latin America and the Caribbean, our commitment to secure online payments powered businesses to new heights. We connected with our community, and we surpassed many milestones. Thank you for an incredible 2023. Here's to another year of transforming payments.